On this episode, we're talking about putting a marketing plan and budget together for 2016 and the future of search. You heard it here first.
This is the 8E8 Dental Marketing Show with your host, Joshua Scott.
Hey everybody, what's up and welcome to the 88 Dental Marketing Show. This is the internet's only dental show that's answering marketing's most important questions. That is what we do, and that is why we're here, week in, week out, keeping it real. New intro to the show. Hope you liked it. Just trying to keep things fresh around here. A few things going on. 2 new articles out this month, October 2015. Number 1, the language of healthcare. It's a kind of a concept I've been working on for about the past 6 months on how the healthcare industry as a whole tends to speak a different language other than human. And how, as dental practices, we need to know that's the tendency, and then some keys to help us really connect with patients. So that's down below in the show notes. And then also the second article is Monday Night Football. Is college football moving to Monday night? That's up down below too. It's really an article about attention in America, but more specifically just broadcast television. And so would love any feedback there. I mean, am I way off? Is there some truth to that? What do you think? Let me know. And then before we get to a few questions here, which we're kind of spotlighting the end of the year, kind of planning some things, your marketing plan for next year. This show, episode number 34, is sponsored by DDS Match. Thad Miller, the owner of DDS Match, has been connecting buyers and sellers for years now and successfully doing it. He's built an amazing business, and if you're in this situation, man, reach out to Thad. You can trust him. You're in great hands there, especially if you're a student. Just give him a call. This is a great place to start. His contact information is down below in the show notes. Ask for Thad Miller. Tell him you saw him on the show, and he'll direct you. He'll get you going in the right direction for sure. So that's what I got. Episode 34 about to start. Here's question number 1.
Our first question is from Dr. Gilbert. I'm putting a marketing plan together for 2016. Where do I start?
Dr. Gilbert, man, this is a good question this time of year for sure. October, November, we should be thinking about our marketing plans for next year, strategy, renewing the budget, all those things. So I really like this question, because this is what I'm doing right now with all of our practices. I mean, we're in this October, November period. We're talking about 2016. We're putting a plan in place. We're starting with the budget. And so for me, the place I'm going to start at first is with the numbers, is with tracking. So we are going to look at the entire year up to this point and look at where did all the new patients come from, okay? So that's the first place to start. And a lot of times I'm going to compare that to the year before. So we're going to look at 2014, 2015 year to date, where all the new patients are coming from. And we're going to begin to get a strategy in place for next year. So the way that works is obviously the categories that are pulling new patients, we are going to keep doing and or increase the investment. The categories where we're spending money and not seeing that return, we're going to analyze, we're going to pull back, reallocate, cut, all those types of things. And so, for example, had a practice recently we were talking to, and they're in one of their local kind of high-end magazines, like nice suburb of a big city. In that suburb's magazine. And it's a nice feature, full page ads. I mean, doing it right, but spending this year, spent about $22,000 on that magazine. And so in looking at the numbers, up until year to date, 2015, they had 7 new patients from that. So when you're doing the math, that's a lot. I mean, that's 7 new patients for $22,000. I mean, that's literally, it's a little bit more than $3,000 per new patient. And so that's one of the conversations. And in this case, that doctor said, man, I love this magazine. I think it's good for our image. And I said, that may be, but for $22,000, I would want to see a bigger return there. And I think we could reallocate that to some other places and see 4, 5, 6 times that amount. If we're going to spend $20,000, I want to see like 30 to 40 new patients. And so that's an example. One practice I began working with a few years ago when I first walked in, and I think I may have mentioned this before, but they were spending $28,000 on Yellow Pages. Nice big full page ad. And at the time, we didn't have any numbers, right? We didn't know how many new patients were coming from Yellow Pages. So it literally took an entire year to track that. And at the end of it, we had 11 new patients from $28,000. So, $2,000, $2,250 per new patient, something like that. And so I said, look, that's a lot. Let's cut it down to a half page ad and see what it does. So we cut down to a half page, that becomes 17,000. It goes from 11 new patients to 6. And so you can see where I'm going with this. And then it became, hey, let's just cut it down to a quarter page ad. And, it went from 6 to 4. And then eventually it was like, this isn't even worth being in the Yellow Pages for $6,000. Let's spend it other places. So number one is always start with the numbers. And if you haven't tracked up until this point, it's really hard. Marketing is one of these purchases, one of these investments. If you don't have the data, it becomes emotional. You don't know how many practices I run into, and it's like, the marketing's not working, or this isn't working, or this magazine is a good play for us. And there's no behind it, there's no data to support that rationale. It's just emotion. It's just how we feel. It's just what we think. We got a little bit of feedback somewhere, and it skews the way we see things. And so get the emotion out of it, bring the data in, and just look at it like it's an investment. Like, how would we treat an investment any other way? So look at the numbers. Number 2, determine the budget. What's the budget? What did you spend last year? Are we cutting back? Are we spending more? Did the practice grow? Is that percentage driving the budget up a little bit? What's the budget? And finally, where are we going to spend it? So look at the numbers. What's working? What's not working? What's the budget? Determine that, because that's the cap. That's what we got to work with. And then last, where are we going to spend it? What are we going to do with it? So, man, my advice, this is a great time to be doing that. And look, I don't plug myself or what we do very much on this show, but if I can ever help you with this, please reach out. Would love to have a phone call and just chat, help you, walk you through it a little bit, and get you set up with a great plan and budget for 2016.
Our second question is from Steven. Rumor is Google is moving to paid local ads. Why does Google keep making changes and insist on controlling everything?
Steven, I know there gets to be a lot of frustration around Google, for sure. So the quick answer and the long answer, right? The quick answer is they keep changing to stay relevant. Google's very aware of what happened with Yellow Pages. They're very aware of what they did to Yellow Pages. The majority of that was Yellow Pages' fault. And so that will always be a case study to them. They will always have that in the back of their head. And so they will always be changing in an effort to stay relevant and to avoid that fate. So that's the quick answer. Do I have any opinion about it? Not really. I mean, do these changes upset me and frustrate me? I mean, sometimes, because it forces us to really rethink strategy and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's a game. And so we play the game. We understand the game. Those who understand it and play it quicker benefit from it quicker, faster. So that's my advice. Now, the long answer is yes, Google is going to start doing paid local ads. They're already experimenting with it. Okay, in large cities, I think they rolled out a plan in San Francisco. So they're messing around with it. And we know this because they changed. I talked about this on episode 33. they changed that local pack from 7 down to 3. And immediately the consensus online in the digital space was that they're moving to paid ads. And so let's see if we can take a look at this real quick, because there's some interesting changes going on with Google. And we'll see if this works here. But traditionally here at the top, we got the 3 paid ads at the top, and you've got the paid ads on the side as well. And so we know that we become comfortable with that. And then underneath, once you start with the map, you've got your block of local listings. So we've got 3 local listings there. And this is a search for in Bloomington, Indiana, dentist. So that's what everybody thinks is going to become paid ads. And we know that. I mean, they're experimenting with it. It's going that way, right? And then down below, we have all the organic listings. And so something that's very interesting that's happening, and the thing people are talking about is eventually the opinion is that Google will not be listing any individual, like in this case, it's dental practices. So Google will not be listing any individual dental practices. They will be listing, so let's just organically, like if you go down to the bottom here, you'll see one right here. It's a Yelp listing, best 10 dentists in Bloomington, Indiana. You have a white pages listing, Bloomington dentist white pages. You typically have health grade listings. Google's moving towards these like lists, these top 10 lists, these comprehensive lists, these business directory lists. And the thinking behind it is this: Google doesn't want to put 6 practices in front of you and say, here's the best 6 practices, choose from them. What they want to do is kind of curate these lists and give them to you and go, here's what Yelp says the top 10 practices in Bloomington are. Here's what health grades, here's the doctor's health grades is ranking the highest, and let you do the research. Put the power back into the consumer's hand. And so it's a really super interesting move. And what it's going to do, so it's going to do a few things. Number one, you're probably not going to be on the front page of Google at some point here in the near future unless you pay for it. So that's what the first 3 ads and the first 3 local ads, you're going to have to pay for it. That's the only way they're going to list the practice. And so they're just going to kind of level the playing field and go, look, if you want to be on the front page, you got to pay for it, right? Organically, they're going to move towards curated lists. And so our strategy now changes, right? Because now it's like, hey, I want to make sure I'm up on Yelp's list. I want to make sure I'm up on Angie's lists. I want to make sure I'm on Health Grade's list. And so it becomes a different strategy. But here's what's going to blow people's mind and who's freaking out right now: the SEO companies, right? The people that 10 years ago started a company on SEO. And I really like some of this. I mean, this is a conversation I've had with my team a bunch, and we actually love it because sometimes these SEO companies are so just sneaky. And at the end of the day, I'm like, what do you do? What do you really do? And they make it such a mystery, like it's so complicated to understand SEO, and they get you spending your money because you're scared. You're like, I need to be on the front page. It's going to put all of them out of business, or it's at least going to force them to completely rearrange their business model. And so I like that. A SEO strategy is going to get flipped on its head, and it's going to become completely different. And honestly, I think it's all for the better. So it's going to change. Those who understand it quicker and play it quicker are going to benefit quicker. So, Steven, good question. I'm glad you brought that up. Just a little future casting there for Google, for search, for SEO. Some big things down the road for sure. So make sure you have a company that understands that. They're talking about it. They're intelligent about it. Because you need to be thinking about that and on the front end of it. Okay, so question of the day, homework for the show. What's your marketing plan and budget for 2016? Guys, this was episode number 34. Thanks so much for being around. Thanks so much for the comments, the love. Appreciate it. Send your questions my way. We will definitely make sure we answer them on a future episode. See ya.